Oh my God, what is that? They're like, I decide to go live and they're like cutting stuff next door. I have no idea what's going on next door, but my wall is right next to it. I should have moved it somewhere over there. What's up? Today we have, we got this kick-ass Supra that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing that in ceramic. All the sides and the rear. And this is going to be a good stream. So 20% ceramic. Sorry, it's been a minute. I just taught a class this week too. So we're coming back from that. Huge turnout at the class this week, which was just super cool, but everything went well. I was only slightly panicked, but it went really well. My brother Daniel, he came over and helped out with everything, and I definitely couldn't have done it without him here. What's up, guys? That is a whip. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So we're gonna get set up here. DW, T-Town. How you guys doing? Does this work too yet or not yet? Maybe? Okay, not yet. All right, I guess let's get a camera up and running. Things have been collecting dust here for a minute, just because I've had this class, so it's been, we hope everything's good, right? That should be. Just embroidering, sun distributing hoodies and full zip-up hoodies. Ooh, I like me a good zip hoodie. That's cool. All right, let's get this kicking. Daniel Reyna
super chatted $1.99.
What's up, man?
Magandu Margaku Star Master.
Thank you so much for the 2. I really appreciate that. Can I deactivate and like refresh? Maybe then I'll be able to hear it. I always forget that part. Forget the alerts audio is weird on my end, but at least you guys can hear it. I betcha it's simple as changing the audio and then changing it back. Let me check real quick. Audio monitoring device. Actually, maybe that one. That might have done it. Some cars don't look good with tint, and this is one I disagree. I think they all look good with it. You can do lighter or you can do darker. I think they all look good with it. Oh yeah, this thing too. Let me set this up. So we'll get going here in just a second. But everything should be pretty much ready to go here. Gotta track down some 20. And then this guy. Last thing. Struggling with the rear windshield setting too quick and marring the glue. Any tips? I mean, usually soap. Tim, what's up, man? Thank you. I was so glad to have you come out here. I squeegee it 2 times and it's completely set up within 2 to 3 minutes of me putting up. That should be a good thing then, as long as it looks all good. I mean, if it's like a Pro Classic or Pro Nano, those things dry out pretty quick. But for soap, hi. Nope, that didn't fix it for my alert.
Daniel Rayner super chatted $4.99. Just did one the other day. The install is hard because it's a 2-door to get in there. Maybe because I'm an old fart.
Daniel Reyna, thank you so much for the 5. Just did one the other day. The install is hard because the 2 doors gets in there. Maybe because I'm an old fart. Thank you so much for the 5, man. So on this one, you don't, I mean, for the quarter window, yeah, but for the back, it's a hatch. So the back window is not going to be too bad because we can get good access to it that way. Otherwise, it would be a really difficult back window to get to because there's not much room there. We're doing all the sides and the rear on this one. There we go. All right, we good? I thought I fixed my audio. Apparently I didn't. I mean, as far as my mic, that should be good. All right, so Supra. Also, it very much is a BMW. This is not a Toyota. This is a BMW in disguise. Hence his license plate right here too. You open up the hood, you got a BMW logo on it. You should. Is this fog new? You shouldn't have done that because now you know what's going to happen.
Oh, wow,
the fog is not new. We just don't always turn it on.
Because now you know what's going to happen.
But yeah, I moved it. So my setup used to be right here. Now it's over in that corner. And it was so close that I just had to scoot it over a little bit. So while I'm working, it's going to be the cool fog that it's always been. And then when I'm sitting there, gives me motivation to get back up, I guess. All right, so let me track down some stuff. My tool belt. We did a good job of putting this place back together. There's some stuff that's still a little scattered, but we had 10 people in here, and there's a lot of stuff happening, so. Fancy BMW. Yeah, that's what he was saying. It is funny to see all the similarities, like just the same. So if we poke our head in here, the same like shifters and media. I forgot what they call it, but like switches. I just threw a skin over it, but it's still really friggin' cool. You need some strobe lights and a flamethrower. Believe me, I've definitely thought about the flamethrowers. They're a little scary because you either have a propane tank or some extra sketchy aerosol can. But we could do flamethrowers. Just something about maybe them possibly blowing up that, I went with fog machines instead. I don't consider it a Supra. The last Supra was a 98 Mark IV. I'm sure, I don't know enough about Supras, but I definitely have heard that sentiment about a lot of cars nowadays. And I can appreciate that. But they don't make as many cars like this anymore. They really don't. As far as like cool two-door cars, they'll always have some. They don't have as many as they used to. So many trucks and SUVs now. So whenever I get something like this in, oh, I definitely appreciate it. Every time he downs somebody in Call of Duty, he turns off the lights and flames the heart. Yeah, I've seen that. It's a great way to stand out. It's cool. All right, let's pop this up. Pop the latch. So these windows have to stay up. They shift every time you close and open them back up. So we're just gonna basically trick the latches into staying up. We'll do the doors first, then we'll get to the back. Yeah, that's for sure. I have a 22 Shelby GT500. That's on par. Cool, very cool. How often do you use a plotter? I'll use it for stuff like the back window and quarter windows, but it just kind of depends on the car. This, we don't have that many windows, so we're just gonna hand cut it. Kind of depends. If I'm doing like a full SUV, then I'll do it. If I was in a more regular shop environment, I'd probably use it a lot more just for higher production, or faster production. Every time you down somebody. Yeah, I would see clips. That's cool. That's what gets you to stand out. You gotta do something like crazy that gets shared. That's cool though. I always appreciate seeing creative things that you can bring outside of the norm in like any field, whether or not that be like live streaming or whatnot. So fog machines, that was quite a learning curve. So it actually runs off of a piece of software that enabled basically super chats to be able to tell the software that something's happening, and then it's through a MIDI controller. And then I had to learn all about basically like DJ lighting and stuff. So I could go crazier and hook more stuff up to it. It's a lot of custom programming stuff though. Programming scenes for DJ lights, so I could swap all those out to do something. It'd be pretty nuts. All right, so we're gonna cut our 20 off here. So we're doing 20 ceramic. There it is. Just like that. Guys are gonna make me buy some more fog pretty soon. Does Matt have a theme song?
Daniel Rayner super chatted
No.
$4.99. Just like this.
No, but you know what you can do is you can take popular songs and just replace some of the words with Tint, and then you can have lots of different theme songs. Remember, there's one, you need to cut it. With that song, when that song hit, it was like everything. That tit's too long, you need to cut it. Oh, it's so dumb. All right, first window up. Now I'd imagine the people that came in the class, they'll start noticing all these little things. Oh, this one's interesting. Yeah, it's pretty normal to tuck it, that's for sure. The outside seal is just a little spaced away from the window, like farther than I usually see. Usually they have it pretty close to the glass. Kind of like a 1/4 inch setback. So, especially on these 2-doors, generally they'll have a little bit more of a curve on the bottom. So I think on some of them they'll be flat, but it's pretty common to see them kind of swoop up a little bit. So even though I'm using a shorter roll, I'll still cut that bottom edge, just kind of fit that curve. And we're going to drop it down. So I got this one, and then I got a Subaru dropped off for today for a windshield and a sunroof. Huh. How should we do this one? Do you have a car tomorrow? No, it's Sunday, man. Although it'd be smart to stay open on Sunday. That's a for sure day that I take off. Especially after this week. This is a busy week this week. Nice. They take off during the week. Yep, that's smart. Okay, here's what I bet one of the best ways to run a shop would be. Later hours, so you don't open as early. You just stay open later, because when people get off work, then they can bring cars in. And then on days that most people have off, like Sunday. Staying open while everybody else is working doesn't always make sense because everybody's working. Christmas tree? Ooh, that's interesting. That would be friggin' cool. I didn't even think about that. I've looked around at like some of the stuff that they have, and I always thought it'd be really cool to hang up some stuff along the top. But imagine doing like a big friggin' tree just up the side in like one of the corners or something. It'd be pretty cool. That would be cool. Yeah, we usually have our tree set up before now. This year, though, we're going to be out of town for the month, so we just haven't gotten it put up yet. We did some Christmas stuff, though. Probably a little bit more on that. Oh, that's going to fit in there real nice, though. That's cool. I like that. Same thing for that. We'll round that a little more. Okay, there we go. That should do it. All right, let's shrink this one. Let's get this one set and go work on the other side. I'm going to snap shrink this. So being that this is a frameless, there's not a lot of curve, but this is a wider window than most sedans. They're just a little bit longer. So you're going to pull this up a little farther out. So I always, whenever I'm snap shrinking, I'll pull the film, I'll lift it like with tension, pull it across the glass till about here, and then shrink this whole inner until it kind of swoops a little bit, and then press it down to check it. So if I have little fingers popping up, so there's always a little more curve in this area, then I pick it back up, shrink it a little bit more. That should be good. Not a whole lot, just some. And we'll leave it like that. Let's get some plastic over it. Carpet shield has been changing. Look at that. See how blurry that is now? Isn't that crazy? This stuff is supposed to be clear. Carpet shield, changing in quality. We picked up 4 rolls of it, and 2 of them are different from the other 2. Oddly enough, this one sticks a little better, but hey, it's kind of funny. I love your new website. Very well done. Just realized YouTube has links right to the products on here. Very cohesive. Good job. Aw, I really appreciate that, man. I worked so hard on that. So these past like 3 months, especially, I've put a lot of thought and effort into what's going on with the site. And one thing that's hit me is the with all the questions that I get about just tools and products and stuff. Websites, Tint websites in particular, are confusing. They're set up like any other store. So like if you know what you're shopping for, then it's not hard to find something. But when you don't know what something is for, then I wanted to set it up in a way so it very quickly and easily explained what it was. So it's kind of funny. I took the experience that I learned from doing TikTok, and I basically made little TikTok videos of a good number of the products. Not everything yet, but quite a few of them. Oh God, I gotta buy a new clay bar. Hang on, get one of these guys. Where did you get your stool? Those are from Amazon. There's not one over here. They're really nice. They're like $50. They match everything here. And what's the name on them? OEM Tools. OEM Tools does everything in like my favorite green. So they roll on this stuff really well too. It's really nice. Oh boy. Hello, Tint Studio. How can I help you? Yeah, we're open. One window would probably take half an hour. I'm just all booked up today, so I couldn't get to it today. No, I'm sorry. I could get it in early next week, though. Yeah, so we schedule everything in advance. It's a $40 deposit to confirm the appointment. If you want, I could schedule you for probably Tuesday early afternoon. Does that sound good? Okay, cool. Let's say, let me check here. Just bringing up my calendar so I can be 100 on that one. Would 2 o'clock work well? Okay, sounds good. So what I'll do is I'll text you a link to our booking page and just fill out a little information, set it for 2 o'clock. Once I get that, you'll be all set for Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Uh-huh. All right, sounds good. I'll get that right over. Bye. All right, hang on. Let me send this over really quick. Tuesday, what's Tuesday? Tuesday the 8th. Weirdo? No, not a weirdo. Probably had one of the windows busted out. I get that from time to time. It's few and far between. I guarantee you his whole car is already tinted, except one window probably got busted out. That's how that makes sense. I'll tell you, a different one is usually 2 front doors on a sedan. That usually had tint before. Look out for stuff like that. Like, hey, I got a couple doors I need tinted on a Charger. Like, 100% that had been tinted before. Nobody ever just tints the back on that one. This back glass ought to be different. Yeah, but thankfully in a good way. So this is actually all a hatch. It might not quite look like it because they hide the seam right here and everything, and it looks like just laid down. But as soon as I pop the trunk, this all lifts up, and you have nice, easy access to that back window. I honestly didn't think that one was going to schedule, though, one window, especially on a Saturday. I'm still not expecting it to book. But you never know. It's one of those things where, somebody didn't schedule anything over the weekend. Oh, boy. Hello, Tint Studio. How can I help you? Yeah, about the one window? Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, you could always come in and leave a deposit for that date. That would be no problem. Yeah. Yes. It's just a way I keep track of all the appointments and ensure somebody is tying up the spot. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that the spot is being held. Yeah, if you want to leave the deposit in advance, yeah, that's totally fine. I just have it set up online so it's convenient for people. Okay, yeah, no problem. Then swing on in. I'll be more than happy to help you set it up. All right, have a good one. Okay, now it's a little weird. That's a little funny to me. It's a cash only, man. Yeah. Yeah, and I occasionally have people like that. I mean, for me, if I got to go into somewhere and leave a deposit, like, that's just a big hassle. You got to go out of it's just like, give me a page, I'll just book it online. Like, everything's online now, so. But I've even worked with people like that. That was kind of funny. Cash only, And then they would ask me, like, hey, I'll give you cash. Can you buy this for me online? It's like, dude, why don't you just go get, like, a temporary debit card or something? Nope. Nothing with names on it. It's like, okay. Yeah, so, like, as much as I'd like to say, like, sure, no problem, bring it in, I did that a lot in the beginning. And what you have is people that say, oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot. Can I reschedule? Or, they just don't show up. When you're more established, that's less of an issue. So for the longest, like, I was confused on deposits when I first opened up my place, because I never tinted for somewhere that took a deposit. It was just like no-shows were just part of the business. But the thing is, they had been in business for a long time, so they had a client base of people, and they had people calling pretty regularly. So if somebody didn't show up, that was a coffee break for me. I was like, good. 9 a.m. appointment didn't show? I'm just going to chill out for a little while. But when you set aside 3 to 4 hours for a car and it doesn't show up, that puts you in a really difficult spot, because you can maybe call your next appointment in early, or you're scrambling to fill the spot and you just lost out because that one person. So now a lot more places seem to be doing deposits, which is nice to hear. Then I don't feel so crazy. But yeah, like a doctor's office. If the appointment's not even going to take very long, they'll sometimes have like penalties, or they won't book you the next time, or they'll have like a one-time thing. So a lot of places don't take deposits still, but man, there's so many people that are willing to just call and book up 3 appointments at 3 different spots, and they'll just keep booking up appointments until they find the cheapest, most convenient place that they actually want to go to. And then when you call them, they don't pick up the phone. So you don't know if they're just like busy actually coming in. You have no indication if they're coming in or not. You just now can't get a hold of them, which typically means that they're not coming in. But it has another bonus for me too. So you guys that are running tint shops, this isn't a convenience for the customer, but it's a mild inconvenience. So for me, what's really nice is I've set up my site in a way that they fill out a little bit of information, so their name and a phone number, so I can get in contact with them. And then they fill out all that information. They set it for that time and day, and when they leave a deposit, that's a confirmation. So I don't have to put all that in my own book. So it's as easy as when I'm streaming, I can just say, hey, go to my booking page, shoot them a link, they fill out the info for that time and date, and then I go check my calendar, and they're on my calendar. So it's just way easier for me to keep track of everything too. So with something like that, I'd love to say, sure, just bring it on in, and then next thing you know, I've scheduled a full vehicle in its place. Is that a Supra? Yes, that's a Supra. That's how barbers are set up now? Really? Wow. I haven't even looked into barbershop booking. What service to use to take deposits? So my site was built on Wix.com. It's kind of like if you've ever seen an ad for Squarespace. In my opinion, at least at the time, I looked into Squarespace. At the time, it was a little less flexible. Wix had a really intuitive page builder. So if I want to put a picture on the page, that's really easy and like, yeah, okay, you can put a page. But you know how like on a page, if you try and drag that picture around, like Wix had a nice floaty kind of page builder, so you could just like drag and drop things around. And when you moved an object, it didn't screw up the rest of the page. So then they had, it was kind of like I did that, and then I realized that they had a really handy booking application. So then that's what I've been using. You could also embed a calendar into your website. You don't have to switch platforms. I've heard Calendly is a really good one too. All right, so this is a brand new roll of carpet shield. It used to come in a box, and then when we bought it from Menards, it no longer comes in a box. It's just not sure where to start this one, honestly. Figured somewhere around there. Here, let me do this. Is this top edge knife a 30-degree blade? No, it's a 60, but what it is very thin. So I used to use the 30 degrees, but I'm waiting for feedback from my brother, but I'll tell you, everybody that I handed this knife to at the class had an easier time cutting the top edges. The thinness of the blade just cuts through super, super clean and less potential for snagging. So I've been cutting top edges for so long with a stainless steel one, and then kind of played around with some different options when I learned like, oh, hey, there's some, NT sells more than one type of blade. And so many people were saying how carbon blades were really good for top edges. So carbon steel versus stainless. Carbon's just a harder steel, so it keeps its sharpness for longer. Hang on one second. Canon. Hey, how you doing? Good. For the window? Let me, you want to hang out here for a second? Let me grab my phone. Where did we put that? Yeah, Supra. Yeah, that was fast. Next thing I knew, he was here. So he actually came in, left a deposit. Oh, that's annoying. We don't like when that happens. That always scares me a little bit. All right, hang on. It's gonna go black for a second. All right, cool. Should be good. Anyways, let's continue. Guess what kind of car that the one window is going to be on Tuesday? Wow, how did this get all tangled too? Let's do that. There was too much that was happening. Anyone else using a booking app? You'll actually see, if you ask that question on the Facebook group, window tint stuff on Facebook, there's a lot more people that are now doing something like that. That's when I found out I wasn't completely crazy. But you'll hear two different opinions. The people that have grinded it out and been in business for a while, they don't have that problem as much, or they'll just take all drop-offs in the morning. So you don't have to go by appointments. I like to at least schedule an appointment time. I'm more than happy to take a drop-off early in the morning, but it's going to fall in line with an appointment time in the afternoon. But the more business that you get, sometimes you just have people drop off in the morning, and then just whenever you get to it during the day, just call me when it's done. But for some people, they don't even have a ride, and that makes it really inconvenient. So the car is actually a Bentley. And just like I said, so the passenger front door is peeling. He bought the car, it had tint on it, just the one window is peeling. The tint looks fine. So he doesn't know who tinted it beforehand, and he's just trying to get it, one window fixed. That's all. Just kind of funny. It's kind of funny. It was like, of all the vehicles, I expected it to be just a whatever, and then it's like, oh, it's a it's a Bentley with actually that blue mirrored Mercedes look on the glass too. So he was wondering if I had that type of tint. But what's nice is it's just a regular layer of tint, and then the inside of the glass actually has that custom from Bentley. Ford Escort. I was in that camp for a minute. Oh, let me switch to this one. All right, let's just. Is it normal for the front windows tinted 5% to look a little light since the windshield is not tinted? Yeah, funny enough, I've seen a post like that recently too. It was on the Reddit group. But yeah, so no matter what you do your front doors in, when your windshield is not tinted, your windshield is letting so much light through. And depending on the color of the interior especially, so darker interiors will look darker. But, you know, when you're looking through into the cabin, things are going to seem a little bit darker, but it'll gradually get darker because so much light is pouring in through that windshield. Man is bougie. Hey, I answer the phones and tint the cars. Just double 5. Yeah, just double 5 the front doors and leave the back doors regular 5. That's how you even that out. No, don't do that. I always find it a little funny when people say 5 is too light. How often do you shave windows? I don't. I've actually never got really good at it. Like little parts to fix up a window, yeah. But for like the whole window, no. Five is too light, I want 3%. I do have a 2% in carbon. Scorpion markets it as a 1%. Or a 0, like Scorpion 0. Then you don't have to do double 5. But what sounds better? 1 layer of 5%? Or 2 layers of 5%? Or 1 layer of 2%? Never understood this shaving thing. It's tricky, man. Yeah, I agree to a point. I say 0. I think that's fair. I had that video of super dark windshield, and when you do the numbers on it, it's 0.00, like 25. That's 2 layers of 5%. So it's like when you take that into a percentage, it would be like 0.25%. So you could just say 0%. But no matter what, you put layer upon layer upon layer, you'll be able to see through it a little bit. But when you go all the way down to 2 layers of 2.5%, it's a little tough to see through. The farthest I honestly got down to was 5% for, like, honestly, 5 minutes. I tinted my front doors in 5, and I immediately pulled it off. I really like as dark as 15. But I'll do 5% pretty regularly. Just depends on the client. Just final the whole car. Yeah, right? Like if you're going to do multiple layers of 5%, why do you even want to see out of the windows? It's easy to see. So I think once your eyes adjust to it, it is definitely easier. You just got to sit in your car for 10 minutes before you start driving. Then they adjust. It's like in a dark room, you get night vision. What do I want to do with this? Thank you. Oh, so this took me way too long. So every time somebody makes an order, it automatically prints out on the printer now. Oh, and the little thingies pop up now too. Jeffrey, thank you. I appreciate that. I forgot. I fixed that. But something. What do you mean by something? How does it not know? That's amazing. Yeah, the automatic print. Okay, so I really want, I would love every time, even on or off stream, if we had the fog machines go off every time somebody put in an order, but I have no way of connecting those systems together, I'd have to hire a programmer to build something. Just ended my day job. Oh, nice. Are you like full-time tinter now? Or you changed your full-time job to tinter? That's super cool. You guys don't know how long I spent on trying to get orders to automatically print off of a printer. On Saturday, it's kind of funny because Jack's not there, so then... Oh, you're in chat. Super cool. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. See, like I've said before, this is like my nerdy tech outlet. So I'm not a programmer, but I do mess with things until I figure out how to get them to do something cool. And like I figured this would not be a hard thing. But for all the tech things that I do, I've never got along with printers. So we went out, we bought a printer, and it set up super quick. And I was like, this is too easy. I even told Jack, I'm like, this just went shockingly easy. And then everything from there on out was like, I was on phone with tech support. It just wasn't happening. Just one more time, I'm losing track here. And then so we went out, we bought a different printer, and turns out that the feature that I thought existed no longer existed. So it was like the way I was going about it was not going to work at all. I did some more digging and I found another way. There's a way. And now our orders print automatically. Yo, is that a Supra? What am I missing on that? Yes, it's a Supra. Did you order the Fusion quarter squeegee? No. No, it looked interesting, though. I'd love to see it in person. Just saw your GS300 tint video. I tinted mine last night. GS300. I get carpet burn from the rear speakers. Oh, welcome to window tinting. There are cars like some older Mustangs that would get that on, Grand Prix that would happen to me. There's those cars you just have to reach farther down. I can point out a couple of tools. So like the best is gonna be the bulldozer. That's gonna give a really, really far reach. It's not perfect in every situation, but this is what that bulldozer looked like. And then a couple honorable mentions is going to be a side swipe. So that's this guy right here. So this one goes down reasonably far, but you still have to kind of slim up your hand. There's another one called the Stroke Doctor. This got a beefier handle. That's this guy right here. So this one's got a handle. And you can reach farther down, kind of swipe to the side without burning your hand too much. Bulldozer's got the farthest reach, and you can kind of support it and go out at an angle. And then this funny looking tail fin, this you'll swipe the same way, and it's really, really flexible. This is like a confusing looking tool that is actually awesome. So this is really good for tight corners and stuff. And then this kind of molds. It's really, really soft and flexible. It does a good job. I always lean towards bladed squeegees for back windows, I don't like using like rubber blades or something. I don't like using plastic tools at the bottom of a back window so much. So all of them have some type of squeegee blade, and that seems to always conform to the curve and shape of that back window, so you can squeegee out, you know, some extra water along with any air pockets that you run into. But I'll bring those into every car that I tint, and I don't think there's maybe a couple cars that I'll need something different, but I can't think of what that is. You are very welcome. But that's kind of funny. I know exactly what that's like when you just, it happens really quick too. You're like trying to get your hand back there and it's hitting the carpet, so you'll like put rug burns right into this area every time you swipe it. Scrapes against it, and then there's just those last few bubbles that you're trying to push out, and you're like, come on. You've got blisters for the next week. Amazing car to see. Yeah, man. Oh, when he was rounding the corner with this one, so like we talked on the phone a little bit, and he had a Supra, and he said it was like a track-ready Supra. And I was like, I knew it was going to be cool. And then he brings it in, and it's just like, whoo. It's nice. It's really nice. There's only a couple cars that I've really, like, okay, if I were to buy something, it would be like a dumb car. I say dumb car as in like something that's just for pure enjoyment. What would I buy? Nowadays, it would probably be this or the newer Vets. I'm not looking to spend like $1 billion on a car. So like, yeah, sure, a Ferrari would be way cool too, but within a reasonable range, it's probably in this. This would be a tough competitor against the new Vets too. The new Vet was only a little bit disappointing because it looks ultra cool. I'm looking for a spray bottle here. The new Vets look super, super cool, but when you sit in it, it's got the same cluster, or not, it's got like the same infotainment system as what I have on my Blazer. So that brings it down for me a little bit. It's like, oh, those controls, what are those? Oh, those are just heater controls. That makes sense. The C8, hands down. Yeah, the C8 is definitely like, it is a head turner though. The styling on that thing is friggin' insane. Super cool. Oh, good, that's on the outside. I was like, uh-oh. Nope, that's a little glue spot on the outside. Yay. Whew. This looks nice. We got it really friggin' close. We did an awesome job on this curve here, too. Looks really, really good. Nice. I like this a lot. Okay, so now onto this back window. Supra equals BMW. You'll appreciate his license plate. It's Supra. Yeah, he pointed that out. And then he popped the hood, and they're not shy about it. There's a BMW logo right on the engine. And I think, like, really, he was absolutely right. One of the funniest things that, like, so when I see a lot of different cars, you notice similarities in the switches, in some of the components that they use. So when they have a crossover vehicle like this that I wouldn't have known about, then you look at, like, the shifter, and you're like, that's a BMW. This is the whole BMW infotainment system. It just makes it extra funny. Most people aren't going to notice that. But like when they brought, who was it? Alpha, when Alpha came to the US. And then all of a sudden it's like they hadn't changed the key yet. And it was like, really? They just took the Dodge key? That boring looking thing? Damn. I feel cheated on that one. But now it's better. I'm glad that they did that. They should. So what? You would have Lexus, right? I think the only thing that would bug me about this car, really, is that they didn't make that steering wheel center any cooler. Like, they should have something custom for Supra. Or, like, a sportier line. Obviously, they're not going to do BMW, but still. It's kind of how I felt about a lot of the Kia restyling, and then Kia went and they actually did change their emblem, but it was for everything. I thought it was just for like their sportier cars. I thought they were making some cooler emblems for it. Those little touches go a long way. All right. So we need some, where do we put the, oh boy. Oh no, good. They're right on the cart. Customer just dropped off a 2020 RAV4. Nice. I've actually done quite a few. I just had a RAV4 in on Monday. Front doors and the windshield. The front quarters on the RAV4 are not the most fun. I spent the longest on that. I'm just going to over-soak this, so I don't have to spray back here. We're doing 20% all around? Cool. Have fun. The mid-engine vet is on another level. Can't wait till you get the Z06. I had one, so I've had one C8 Corvette in here finally, but he was shockingly straightforward on that back window. He was in here though, waiting on it, and he went like with every option on this car. So it had like bright red suede interior, and I had to leverage my group for that back window. I had some theories. I just wanted to make sure going into it. Turns out you can actually pop the seal. You just pull back the paneling a little bit, and then the seal pops out on that back window, and that becomes like way easy. I remember flashback to like an R8 that I did a long time ago, and I didn't know of any paneling that removed along that. That thing was not super fun to do. Not in this case, but supercars need to be super pied. What do you mean? You using a plotter anymore? Yeah, it just depends on the vehicle. You know, when I got a Supra that comes in, I'm not going to use a plotter on this thing. You kidding? This gets the special treatment. So whenever I'm looking to save, so I guess the way to look at me using a plotter is whenever I'm looking to save a significant amount of time on the parts that are more difficult to cut out, that's what I use a plotter on. So truck back windows, when you're doing a power slider, you have 3 individual windows. It's good. I can definitely plot those out way faster than I can hand cut them. And the cuts will look super clean on that. Door windows, nothing's going to be as clean as hand cutting them. The quarter windows, that would be fine. This back window, that would be fine to plot. But they're also not that hard to cut out, and being that we're already on the back of the car, I mean, come on, man. Let's enjoy it a little bit. Is this ceramic? Yes, it is. Yeah, he went with 20% Pro Nano. We're going back and forth a little bit between carbon and ceramic. And, you know, rightly so. He keeps this in the garage and then uses this on track days. But decided to go all out with ceramic. He also gets to try it before they put it all over their, I think it was a Toyota truck that they got. I'm looking to get my first plotter. Do you recommend a Workhorse 2, or should I get something a little bigger, like a 70-inch Jaguar? So for window tinting, you're just going to need something to accommodate up to a 40-inch roll in most cases. Like if you get Model 3s and you're like, yeah, I think I want to cut out 60-inch rolls, then on a rare occasion you're going to use it. But you also got to think of the space that your machine takes up. To be honest, Workhorse 1 versus Workhorse 2, Workhorse 2 has gone up in price. I don't see much of a benefit to going with the Workhorse 2 over the Workhorse 1. I think they cut the same. I think the feature set's the same. The only thing that you really get out of the Workhorse 2 is going to be like the overall aesthetic and the build quality. But I was using the Workhorse 1 for over a year, and it's got a 5-year warranty on parts, so I wouldn't be worried about it. Up from there, I mean, I'm not familiar with Jaguar machines, but Plotter Depot also has Jaguar, Mamaki, Graphtec. I think they might have Roland too. Those are all like much more reputable brands. The machines come a little bit, you know, at a steeper cost. So it's hard to say for sure, but you're really not getting a huge amount of value as like you're getting better roller positions and something like that. So at least a Jaguar, I say, is a better bet if you want rollers that'll line up a little bit better. Because first and foremost, the Workhorse 2, Workhorse 1, those are vinyl machines. So there's some more shuffling with the tint. So what you're going to be doing more often than not is cutting out 20s, 24s, 36s, and 40s. You just don't want to have to shuffle them around too much. It'll waste some time. So yeah, doing like a Jag, you don't have to go as big as a 72 though. That's overkill. Not unless you're going to be using it, I should say, unless you're using it also for graphic work and stuff like that. But if you're just sticking with window tint, which is what I do and what I know the most, a machine up to 40 inches, and anything bigger than that is just kind of overkill. I remember at Tint Squad, so this was Rick's shop, he went all out, bought a 60-inch Graphtec, and just because he wanted to get the best, and it was like an $8,000 plotter. And we, for the vast majority of the time, we cut out 40s and 36s. And then so you're walking around this big old machine just to cut out smaller film sizes. It just didn't quite make sense. But when he got more into flat glass, there was times that he really appreciated having that bigger size. But if you're going to stick to cars, then yeah, you just don't need it. Haven't gotten a Tesla yet. Not too many in my town, so I shouldn't have to worry about them. Yeah, and honestly, the Model 3, I hand cut those anyways. I mean, I don't have a wide enough plotter to do it, but on a back window like that, I'm gonna leave some extra slack. I'm gonna roll up a window, I'm gonna glassade the border, and then I'm just gonna do it that way. Yeah, I talk a lot from pretty much what I do, and then I forget that there's other services and stuff like vinyl. So for those of you that are looking into them, identify what you're going to be doing, and then if it's just window tint, and you just need a plotter for that, then yeah, 40 inch is big enough. But definitely get at least a 40-inch plotter, because if you can't cut back windows on it, then like that takes out a huge part of having a plotter. Why do you heat? The glass is curved, the film is flat, so if you don't form it, you're going to have giant air pockets shooting out from the sides all over the back window. Love your videos. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for hanging out. This is definitely interesting with the spoiler. I didn't even hardly talk about it. But like I was holding this thing. This is spoiler's kind of cool because it like stays up high enough so I can just sneak the roll underneath it as I'm unrolling it. For as big as it is, it doesn't really get in my way very much. Almost want to use it as a table. No, don't do that. There we go. I almost tossed out that extra and then remember that I have quarter windows that I need to put that on. Maybe a dumb question, but why do some people tint on the inside and some on the outside? No, it all goes on the inside. The cutting and the shrinking, that all happens on the outside. And then just like it's got a clear backing to it. So once you shape it and cut it, then you peel that off and you stick it on the inside. That's the right way to do it. Although my brother showed me a picture where they were removing tint that was left on the outside. Probably because it was a drug runner car. Yeah, it's actually one of the most common questions that we get. When somebody sees somebody tinting, they always say, I thought it goes on the inside. It does. It'll get there. It's funny when I get that comment in a video. They're like, oh, you're dumbass. Tinting on the outside is supposed to go on the inside. And it's like, yeah, you only got halfway through the video. Does your heat gun burn the plastic floor? No, the housing on the heat gun always keeps it propped up. But yeah, if I just left it with a hot end facing down, there'd probably be a lot of burn marks on the floor. I've got heat gun holders now. That's a bad habit. I used to tint in a lot of just garages with concrete floors. Just toss the heat guns on the ground. Is that the Supra? What am I missing? This is like the third time I've heard that. I'm left out of the joke. So, yeah, with these housings and like pretty much all of them, they always have this little gap here. So when you set it on the ground, it doesn't tilt and burn anything. Things to watch out for, though. There was a couple of heat gun cords that got burnt through, and now we have exposed wires on them. So, yeah, got to replace those. I saw a video where you spoke about Lexan, reason why. Oh, yeah. So cheaper carbon films are always a little harder to shrink. That's just kind of a characteristic of a cheaper carbon film. Cheap dyed films, though, shrink amazing. I'm not, like, biased towards expensive films. It's just, I know budgets are tight, especially when you're learning. I tried their Pure Max, and that was more in line with what it should be like to shrink most films. The one underneath it, like the HSA carbon from Lexan, just is not user friendly for a beginner. Just in terms of shrinking. On doors, sure, no problem. On a back glass, it gets difficult. But yeah, if you go onto Amazon or wherever, does anybody go to eBay anymore? But if you're on Amazon looking around for window film, just look for like cheaper dyed film to practice on. That would be totally fine. You want to find something that's at least, I think they usually call it like a 2-ply. A 1.5 mil, because that's going to be more in line with what you're installing on a day-to-day basis. Most companies don't make 1 mil films anymore. They do if they're like really cheap. There we go, and then we just wipe this off, and then, look, it's tinted. God, wouldn't that be easy? I'm just wiping it off. There, ta-da! It'd be great. Sun guard? I don't know much about sun guard. I get them confused with solar guard. Is 45 too dark for a windshield? No, honestly, I'd go as dark as 35 on a windshield, but I wouldn't push it any darker than that. All right, we're gonna put this on the board. Peeling a window like this is going to be difficult with the spoiler on the way, and the fact that it's a hatch. We're going to put it up and put it back down. That's going to cause the water to drip in different ways. So let's clean this off. And then, where's my scrubs? Where's my scrubs? There's one. Yeah, I don't know much about SunGuard. They strike me as an off-brand solar guard. There's too many like sun block, sun guard, sun this, sun that it all gets confusing. Scorpion? Scorpion's kind of like in this in-between. They're more a more budget professional brand. So you're going to be able to save a little money through them. My brother, he used Scorpion for a while. They're using ASWF now. Geo is going to be a little bit more premium than that. I mean, to me, if you're, most of your cost is going to be tied up in the time that it takes to do a vehicle. I mean, yeah, you do have cost in buying film for sure, like a physical cost. But when you use cheaper films and you charge a lower price, then you just have to pick up your volume, and you have to do a lot more cars. So always keep that in mind. This this spoiler, this is heavy, but it actually holds this up. So I already disassembled this part here. This was pretty straightforward though. So there's a little cover that pops off here, and then these two little clips. So on BMWs, yeah, this is a Toyota Supra, but BMW at the heart. So you'll notice these little clips here. All the BMW brake lights do the same thing that I know of. They'll have either a housing in the way, and then they have a couple clips on their brake light that go sideways. So it looks the same as an Audi, but Audis don't have any clips that you remove. You just slide the brake light just like clean forward. BMWs have those, so you want to get access to them, pull them to the side, and then the whole thing should drop down. So I'm gonna cover some stuff up. What's the best way to do that? Probably a little bit of tape. And then I was going to remove this, but he hooked up a, oh, there's a little USB on there too, so I could remove this. I didn't think there was a plug on that one. Let me see this one. If this doesn't just pull out, sometimes they have a little hook on them That one looks a little funky. We're just going to leave that there then. Pulling on small wires too hard, it's never a good idea. I'm sure there's a little plastic clip in there holding it in, but it's not necessary, so I'm just going to leave it. Towels. Let's get some towels up in here. GeoShield hasn't let you down yet? No, because you'd hear about it. I'd light them up. They're good people. Like, I've been around window film for at least about 15 years now, and I never stop asking questions. So when you look really hard into all of this, you'll notice that, you know, actually, we had a good discussion about this during the class, too. There's so many products that are all just, like, rebranded. This car's a perfect example. Everybody's saying, like, this is just a BMW, rebranded as a Toyota Supra. You're going to find that in so many things. So window film, there's only so many manufacturers out there, but there's way more brands. So you'll see a lot of similarities between films and companies. So then it's a matter of finding, like, what companies you like the best. And then when you carry films from, like, a pretty well-known manufacturer, then you can trust the products that they're selling you to. Because I, by and large, don't trust what most film companies tell me, because they're just trying to take my money. I've heard time and time again, oh yeah, this is our next generation this or next generation that. We fixed all the problems in the previous generation. You're never going to have any issues with it. And then when you have an issue with it, oh yeah, we fixed that. This is their new generation, blah, blah, blah. I'm just tired of that. So, like, what a company can really do well is good customer service and take care of their people. That's what Geo does really well. And then I know where a good amount of their products are coming from, and they legitimately carry good stuff, from what I understand. So I'm a big fan of using their films then. So they're definitely not the most known, but they're definitely not sketchy. They're good. Good films, good people. I've been a fan. What's your opinion on Lumar films? Lumar's great. Lumar has great films, great company. They're just big. So if you're a small shop calling Lumar, or, like, not even a shop, if you're a guy doing it out of your garage, like, they have minimums. They're more tailored for bigger business. And that's the way, like, hey, if I'm a store looking to carry a product and I only want to buy 5 of that product, like, if I'm trying to sell, for example, the Libman squeegee, and I'm contacting Libman direct, they're like, hey, how many thousands of these are you going to move a month? And it's like, no, I'm not that big. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, have a good day. You'll run into situations like that. So there's some film companies that are just more geared for bigger business, and they've been around. Like, Lumar's owned by Eastman, which is one of the biggest chemical companies. So most people can call and order it, but you're going to have to order more volume every month if you want to stay a Lumar dealer. So people want to just go with, like, the biggest, best-known brand, but you'll hear that a lot when they're starting out, and it's just like, those companies aren't going to be great at supporting you because you're just not attractive to them. You just don't do as much volume. They would rather sell thousands of dollars to the bigger stores than hundreds of dollars in film to hundreds of smaller shops. That's just how their business is. So, good film, good company. but they're just geared for bigger business a lot of the time. So I use Lumar films in my shop. I was trained at a Lumar training company. I get my films direct at a good price. It depends on who you're talking to about the price. So they just charge more of a premium. So for some people, Lumar's really expensive, but then they don't leverage that kind of branding with that business. But yeah, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of Lumar dealers around the country. There's a lot of people that like their films. I think they carry good films. All right, so we got to get this onto the window. Everything's cleaned, ready to go. Just got the hybrid from your store, loving it more than the Orange Crush, because it's way different. So much better. Expel or Lumar. You see, it's funny. I hear that comparison all the time. Expel's only been a film company for like the past 5 or so years. They haven't been in the film game for all that long, but there's a reason why everybody asks about them. It's all marketing. They carry good films. They have good products. But they're a very locked down ecosystem. So Lumar versus Expel, if I tint one car with Lumar and one car with Expel, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between the two unless you have seen the films before. That's the thing with a lot of these companies. You're not going to be able to tell the difference. You're in a tier. It's like, people ask me like, hey, how can I tell the difference between dyed film and ceramic? Oh, I'm listening to another comment. What was I saying? Branding, something about branding. But yeah, most of this is like, it's a branding game. There's big companies, or Expel, they're a more locked down ecosystem. Good people, good company. They're doing things that are less favorable for smaller shops because, again, they're a bigger business. They're now publicly traded. They're going to do things that boost that shareholder price and that shareholder value. That's first and foremost who they're trying to appease. Expel shrinks nicer than Lumar because it depends on the line of film that you're doing. But yeah, nice films for sure. Gonna notice some similarities between Expel and Geo, but what? Suntech? Suntech's owned by Eastman, who also owns Lumar. So you're probably going to notice a lot of similarities between those products. I've heard not so great things about the scratch coats, about Lumar and Suntech. So I know that much about them. That's just kind of popular opinion. But I used to be a Lumar dealer. Back in the day, we used to order them from 44 Tools because they used to be a Lumar distributor. If you go back in the old archive, you'll see competitions that I was at. That was local Lumar competitions run by 44 Tools. Super cool people, nice building, good company. But it's hard to keep up with everything. You like Max Pro? I hear good things now about their XCL line, which is like their newer metallized line. Max Pro is kind of another one of those more budget options, but I never used them very long. I just saw a lot of, people would ask about them in my group, and there was a lot of people that didn't like them. But they could have, you hope that they're better at this point. I get phone calls from them every once in a while, though. Keep asking if I'm going to switch. But a lot of companies will do that. They'll send out samples. They'll have reps call you and follow up. I have some Scorpion stuff up there sitting. I should be nice enough to at least look at. I asked the person that called, I was like, have you seen the channel at all? They're like, I've heard of it. Oh, okay. Yep. I have another phone call to you. Have a good one. $260 for ceramic all around, is it a good deal? I mean, yeah, it's a fantastic discount, but I then wonder about the quality of the ceramic that you're getting. The thing is with window film, it's so much a skill that whoever is charging like way less, just at least see other examples of work that they've done from like friends or family or somebody else. Let somebody else be the guinea pig for their business. Then you know you're really getting a good deal. But when you're going out on a limb and somebody's charging far less, I'd be concerned. $3M. 3M, I haven't used them anytime soon. I know they're definitely a well-known brand. I've used their Color Stable line a long time ago, and it was definitely blue. It wasn't good for matching factory, but if you were just tinting a whole car, yeah, it would have been good. But I haven't used them in quite a long time. So what I would say is, like, all these companies that you guys are mentioning all have, like, decent films. There's a reason why all these companies are in business. If they just gave out shit film, then they probably wouldn't be in business anymore. So it's really about shopping around, testing their products, seeing how you like them as a company, not taking just my word for it, and put them to the test, put them under a heat lamp, do some comparisons, put them on your own car, drive around with them. And then if you like them, your customers are definitely going to like them. So, like, you're not going to go wrong with 3M. You're not going to go wrong with Lumar. You're not going to go wrong with Expel. Those are some that you're definitely going to be spending a premium on the brand. So if you're like, you know, just side by side, one film to the other, you're going to be able to really tell a difference between the two? Largely no. But you're shopping around those companies. Why? Because they have a big brand and a big presence. So if you're going to carry them, I suggest that your business leverage that brand. So when you have clients coming in and you are then, like, you should, hey, we carry these films. We feel like these are the best on the market. And when those are brands that customers recognize, then it puts their mind at ease. When somebody calls and asks me over the phone, hey, what brands do you use? And I say GeoShield, they go, oh, I've never heard of them. So that's just one more thing that I have to explain. Doesn't mean GeoShield's bad. It just means that they need to work on their marketing. So ultimately, with a lot of these companies, y'all are going to be fine. You're shopping in categories that should be totally safe, and it's like one versus the other. I understand wanting, like, hey, what phone is the fastest? But with window film, it's just a little bit more boring because there's only so many things that window film can do. So, like, installers nowadays, they want stuff that shrinks easily. That doesn't mean that it's good or bad film. That just means that it shrinks easily. And they want something that's not going to fail. And then they want it to be as cheap as possible, too, depending on the person. But yeah, like with anything, you want to save the most amount of money on stuff that you're installing. But those are all brands, again. They're not going to keep your shops busy. You're going to have to build your own business, and you're going to have to then leverage the branding in your sales, in my opinion, to make it worth carrying. Because when you put toe-to-toe Lumar versus 3M versus XPEL versus Geo, I think they're all going to do great. I think they're all going to last. I think they're all going to look good. But the trick is, what did it take to get that sale on the job? Was it as much as just having a nice clean shop, somebody calling? There's so many people that don't care about the films. But if there's some people that do more research before they come in and they start shopping around based on brand, then yeah, they're going to shop brands based on the films that they're carrying. So I'm not going to be an option for some of these people because I don't carry the films that they were looking for. But the whole reason that they even wanted some of those films, good chance of it is marketing. Saw it online, they heard about them, and then they want to pick them up because they're supposed to be the best, and then they've seen other cars on the road that have been purple, and they just don't want something to do that. And then with all the confusing marketing that's out there, you know, people are then getting ceramic because ceramic's the best, but they don't really understand why is ceramic the best. Well, ceramic's just really good at blocking a lot of heat. So when you go with a really nice ceramic, you really enjoy driving around with it. But if that's not something that you really cared about from the beginning, then it doesn't matter as much. But that's why I also don't carry only ceramic. I have other options too. Oh, I 100% agree with that. Yep, and I've told them. I've told Tint Depot that, 100%. I've been using Tint Depot premium fills, but I hate telling people when they ask because Tint Depot sounds like questionable, 100%. Yeah, I've talked to them about that. They have reverse branding. It's a little unfortunate. There's only so much I can say, but I've said this before, and I doubt anybody who cares is listening. So in the world of window film, a more old school approach to distribution is distributors have territories. So me up in Michigan, if I wanted to carry a particular brand, sometimes I have to go to that brand's distributor, their northern distributor. If I'm down in Texas, their southern distributor. So there's, you know, different distributors for every company. You're not necessarily just ordering from one place for that company. So the brand is one of those distributors, so they're not allowed to sell outside of their territory under that brand, but they can sell the same films under a different brand. So you can you're buying good films through them. But again, yeah, when you have to tell people like, hey, when it comes to the handful of people that ask, what do you use? And then you say that, I just never wanted it to be a question. So would I trust them with my business? Yeah. But do I feel less professional when I use them? Yeah, for sure. Totally understand that. But like with a phone, when I pick up a phone, I can compare an iPhone to an Android phone, and then there's different, you know, Samsung has a good chunk of the Android phone space. So I pick up there's ways to differentiate yourself physically one to the next. With window film, it's a lot more difficult. When I put that film on the glass and he drives us around, nobody's looking at this and go, wow, that's some great looking GeoShield film. People are like, that's a cool looking Supra. The tint job looks great. Where did you get it from? And then maybe the person would then ask later on, like, what film is that? But nah, most of the time, no. So it's less important, but I've got a Reddit group, and I just pay attention. There are a surprising amount of people that are asking about Lumar, 3M, and XPEL. And basically nobody else. They keep asking what's the difference between Lumar, 3M, and XPEL. So those companies are doing great on reaching the public. Everybody else needs to step up their game. Are you Apple or Android? I actually do have an iPhone now. I was on Android for quite a long time. No joke. I was really shocked about this. Apple Maps is now kicking Google Maps ass, like all day long. Around here, roads suck and there's closures all the time. For whatever reason, Apple Maps seems to stay updated. Google routes you around really dumb ways. Do you ever tint taillights? No. No, so taillights is something that I'd like to do, but this is a really sharp curve. So what you'd probably do is tint this portion, and then what? Do like an inlay up here, and then you just got to be careful about the trim right here. They're just really exaggerated. So not all of them. There's some very simple taillights out there. But if I were to wrap taillights, it's more in line with, it's way more in line with vinyl wrapping. So the materials are very similar to color change vinyl. But don't let that stop you from getting into it. You can charge $250. Like there's me, I say I don't do it. And then so there's then a lot of shops that are not doing it either. So that gives you an advantage. You can just be one of the places that actually do it. But you could charge $250 for a set of taillights. What percentage? We're doing 20. I ended up doing, Lux or Vivid, I ended up doing my Explorer taillight in Lux. And I probably could have done it better the third time around, but I did do it. And it was somewhat of a complicated light. So you could absolutely do one. Get into it. They don't last long with Vivid? Oh, I've heard good things about their taillight film. That's why I mentioned it. I've heard even better things about Lux. Lux took over the market. But taillights, most people are using Oracle, and it's not very user-friendly. And then this material called Lux came out, and it was game changer for so many people. It just made, and he put out so many really nice videos about how to do it. It was awesome. There aren't that many companies that actually put out information on how to do and install their own products. Oh my God, there's glue on this window. No, it's a perfect corner window, you bitch. See that? I don't know if you can see it. There's a little bit of glue on that window. So you know what that means. It means we're ripping this off. That's what's tough about hard to feel glue. You run your hand over it, you try and look for it, but it was light white, which it looks exactly like soapy water, and then you can't feel it. At least that's not on the back window. Little baby quarter window, we'll cut that out. We'll get it going. I see you use the taper on the quarter windows, but how do you do the quarter window with the trims? I always seem to leave small gaps of quarters for not running nicely. So you use the taper on the quarter. What do you mean? Yeah, so I'll use the tape as a way, that first and foremost is a way for me to protect the glass, so when I'm taking a blade to it, I don't want to carve on the glass anymore. So with this, I have a nice pretty template. I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to cut this all out, all nice and pretty. And I'm going to tuck this back in here. But quarter windows with a nice dot matrix border, you want to overlap the border, and you depends on the window, but you usually have enough space where like you can cut it wider than being exact. So this one has plenty of space on the inside. So I'm just going to make this about an eighth to a quarter inch wider. Like honestly, a 16th an inch in most cases. This one I've got plenty of space, so I don't know. It's just going to be a good size. It's going to look nice. So there, I got my template. Let me take a blade too, make sure that glue's off there. Like a quarter window that has the rubber seals is a regular door window. Like a quarter window that has the rubber seals. Oh yeah, the tighter rubber seals, you're gonna wanna cut those more exact. I know exactly what you're talking about, because I just had a RAV4 again with those types of windows. And I have an Ultima for the training classes that has those types of quarter windows, and they're really annoying. One thing you can do is, like, you generally cut those exact. You could cut them just slightly wider, but put the tint on the window. It's honestly easier to do those off of a plotter. Cut the pattern out as best you can, and then use a spray bottle, put some extra soapy water in it. That way it'll slide and not stick near as quick. And you'll be able to line it up a little bit easier. You can also wedge a couple of tools. So what I mean by that, let me find them really quick for you. So like I'll use these tri-edge cards. They're a pretty good size for that, or something similar. Like there's a lot of tint tools that'll fit the bill. And you're gonna wedge that inside the rubber, leave that sitting there while you're working on the rest of the car. Then when you get to the quarter windows, those seals are gonna be a little bit looser. And you're gonna have a much easier time tucking the film into a window like that. But yeah, like I was saying with the RAV4 that I did, I spent, like I redid those quarter windows 3 times each. Door windows, no problem, 1 time. Quarter windows on the RAV4, ugh. Sometimes I can get them in one shot go. Sometimes they just take more effort. It's not that they're really not hard windows. They're just finicky, tight windows. So when you mess them up, you got to just redo them. All right, let's sneak this boy in here. All right, let's get this. Oh, don't want no gaps. Let's get this tacked down. Get this down. Sick. Oh yeah, this looks nice. Whew, we did it. We did the quarter window. Much easier than the ones that we were just talking about. What about the dot matrix on the windshield near the rearview mirror? There's an inch or 2 next to each side. I'll overlap over the dot matrix. Toyotas can have especially ugly dot matrix, funny enough, on this one. and unless it's laminated into the glass, it's going to show. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. The nice thing is that when it silvers out, or when it all dries out, it will be very uniform. But so here's my housing. This is like the physical mirror stuff. And then these dots are for aesthetics. So what I would do is I would just keep it over the dark parts, tint over the dots. Because when you're sitting in the car, then you're just going to have a big light gap if you don't cover those up. But good news on the Supra, probably because it was made by BMW, these are actually laminated on the inside of the glass, so you wouldn't ever see these. That doesn't always happen. There's a whole lot of GMs and Toyotas that do not do that. But that one will look good. What's the real function on dot matrix? I think it's just aesthetics. I think just when they make it, they think it looks good, or, you know, the sun's going to be beaming through. Like they're looking at it from a glass perspective. I'm just spitballing it. I don't know for sure. But maybe they feel like it blends that into the window a little bit more and makes it less obnoxious because they're obviously not tinting it. I think it makes it look worse. But I'd love to sit down with a glass designer and go, what the hell? Why do this? All right, I'm looking for... Where's my tint studios? I wasn't happy. It looks normal outside until you scrutinize it super closely from the inside. It drives me crazy. I hate the look of it cut out on the inside. That's the first thing I see. So, like, there are people, they'll just cut completely around it. God, why do I have to go get another one? Where did I put it? Maybe somebody stole it. So there was, God, I hate doing this. I'm limited on the rest of those. What was I saying? Something about cutting around the mirrors? Yeah, so like I would see some installers, they would just cut around the dots, and they think that to them is like, oh, it's the dot matrix, you'll never see a difference there. So they just cut around it, and that makes the windshield easy. I think it's one of the ugliest things that you can do on a car. I would not do that. Anything that looks out of place is then something a client has the potential to ask about. But hey, your shop, your rules, somebody might ask. And then you just tell them, yeah, that's how you do it. And they just might go, okay. I don't know. It's all personal preference, I guess. I went to school out in Florida, learned tinting. I got way better, though I still understand it takes years to learn. I definitely want to go to your school one day, 100%. You're dope and nice. Thank you. I really appreciate that. No, there's quite a few tint classes around the country. Not as many as there probably should be. But like you said, there's a really good one that I know people went down in like Jackson, Florida, the window tinting school. I think just taking a class, like now that I've gone this entire year with seeing it, I'm also going to sound a little biased because I have a class, but seriously, oh my God, it was so nice. There's sometimes, like, so we started shrinking on the second day, and there was a good number of people that had never touched film before. But as long as, like, I've gotten better at pointing out a few things in the beginning, so I always say, like, as long as you pay attention to these rules, go slow, then you can pick up your speed very quickly once you understand what you're looking for. The first day, you know, there's some points where it looked pretty rough for some people, and you're like, oh man, I really hope that they get this. And then the third day, I'm like distracted doing something else. I look over, and they have a whole windshield all shrunk, ready to go, and I'm like, do you just fucking do that? Yeah. All by yourself? Yeah. How long have you been doing this? And he's like, 2 days? It's like, get the fuck out of here. Classes will speed you up for sure. It's about pointing out and seeing the little things. Like, I do everything here. You just saw the whole car start to finish. But there's things that you're going to pay attention to in person and little things that any instructor is going to correct as you're doing them. That's what's going to help you speed up way faster. So the fact that anybody is attending a class, like, one of the reasons it can take longer for people to learn is they're not necessarily even all that invested in learning. But when you're really like, no, I'm going to take a class, you're one of the few people that is really, really committed to learning how to tint. And that goes a long way. But yeah, it's taking any class, I think, is a huge win, as long as you got some good instructors there. I went out to that school, window tint school. Yep. I've heard good things about them. It was nice. I learned. I don't know if you've heard Alligator Window Tint. He went to that school. I need one-on-one. I feel like you provide that and more, but they're amazing. Can't knock them. So we still have more people here. It's not like an individualized class, but yeah, I go around and make sure I spend time with everybody. All right, let's put this thing back together. Let's make sure it's wiped down first, I guess, before we put it back together. But yeah, I mean, the 100 people that are here right now, you guys are really invested in watching and learning how to tint. It's funny how caring even a little bit goes so far in this whole industry. There's just a lot of people that don't. It's a job to them. They're just trying to make fast money. And I understand, like, we're all in this to make an income, and time is a thing. But when you actually care about the little details and you just pay attention, you'll pick it up way faster. So, like, how long did it take you to tint before you felt competent? I'll tell people it took me like a year, but holy shit, some of the people that have been to the class, it's like, how long have you been tinting? 2 days? What the fuck? Always get some film, get some tools, practice on your own, see if you even like it. And then once you can at least answer that much, like, hey, I think I want to take a class. There we go. Mess around with it a little bit first, because it is a big commitment to go out and take a class. But still, it's been really helpful to everybody that's been here. Last question before you end the live. What way do you shift a window that shifts? I always get confused. Okay. So I'll cut my patterns a little bit wider. You don't necessarily have to shift it one way or another. But if I roll a window down, sometimes they're like, if you roll them down like an inch or two, you can shake the window back and forth and it'll rock inside that frame. So yeah, when it rolls down, sometimes it'll shift this way, and then you roll it back up, and then all of a sudden it readjusts and then goes back up this way. So if you roll it down, you have a little gap over in this side. So what you're really going to want to do is just cut your pattern so it's a little wider to compensate for something like that. When it's on the back doors, I'll be honest, less people notice it. So as long as, like, whatever so people don't necessarily always roll down their windows like just a few inches. It's either rolling them down all the way or rolling them all the way back up. So when it's reoriented in a vertical position, most of the time, nobody's going to have any type of an issue. But when you, like, Fusions, Chargers, those are some cars that I remember that would do that especially bad. I'd want to cut my pattern a little bit wider, so it's usually on the back end of it. So like I guess it would be like the right side, or when you're on the passenger side, it'd be more on the left side. All right, let's put this back in here. Nice. Very nice. And then these, he had these up here. I want to see what this looks like all closed up. I almost forget. I've got another car, a windshield I got to do. It's like talking every time I close something. All good on that. Roll this back down. So always make sure that your windows, I speak a lot from experience, so I may or may not have shut a door that has not been unlatched. Whew, look at that. That looks so nice. But yeah, when you pull the door handle, make sure that the latch actually flips down and the window comes down. Sometimes it'll be caught in the middle somewhere. Then you shut it and have a bad day. My service manager swears if I tint my sunroof on my 22 CX-5, it will shatter due to heat. Has he ever had a sunroof shatter on him? Is he speaking, or is he just... I hear that, but I have yet to see that. So, I don't know. I think it's a rumor. I've heard sunroofs. I swear, I think it's a myth that I have yet to see proven. And we have a group of almost 60,000 people now, and people do sunroofs. So if people were having problems, they would post pictures of them all day long. I don't know where that rumor came from. But I have yet to see a single person post of a shattered windshield from something like that. I got the key over there just to make sure I'm not locking anything in. Woo! Ooh, that is nice. Okay, so 20% on all the sides in the rear. Looks really dark when you're looking into the cabin, but then if you actually because it's a low car too. So when you squat down, you'll be able to see like silhouettes and stuff. And then you're looking at a front angle, but most of the time, you're always standing up, looking down into it. So it looks sometimes a little darker than even what it is. This is nice. Dang. How many cars do you think you have tinted in total? Oh, I have no idea. I'll tell you, this year it's far less than when I was tinting for shops. When I have time to tint on my own, I slow things down and I spend extra time, and it's more about individual cars. But I don't know, I've been doing it for, 15 years now? Some of those days, it was just in and out all day long. I asked my brother about how many cars they're doing now in the summertime. At my dad's shop, they'll do 15 to 20 cars in a day. They're busting ass all day. I'm like 2 to 3 cars in a day. I'm good. I'm good at that. Canon. Sweet. Well, that was fun. You guys have a good time? My coffee? Where's that? Oh, I like when they go this way. Yeah, so my older brother and my younger brother, they both tint at my dad's shop. He's good. He's really good. I had to call him out to help teach the class, and thankfully he wanted to do it. Oh my God. It was just one of those things, so October was pretty slow for a class. We had a couple people, so I September, skipped October. So September, we had a couple people, and then November was booking up a month in advance when I opened that up, and it was like, oh my God. Okay, so messaged him, and then he came out and helped the class, and we had 10 people here for that class. It was a lot of fun. It was busy and a lot of fun. I tinted my 2016 CRV, no problem. The back window on that is going to be the hardest part. It's got kind of like a funny curve. It's not a very tall window, but then all of a sudden it curves very suddenly. What made you go bigger? Just seeing more people signing up for the class, and I had skipped the previous month. Like, they're fun, and I've had a lot of fun doing, like 6 people, I start to get stretched a little thin. So being 10 people, it was like we were just rotating around, handling basically like half the class. Would you say take a class and then open your own shop, or work under a shop for someone to see their own shop? Oh, it's so nice to actually see how other companies run, because then you learn what not to do, and then do your own thing. But not everybody has that opportunity. So after you take a class, I mean, there's still work that's involved. So classes will speed you up no matter where you are, for sure. But just like even for me, example, like I know how to tint. When I opened up this place, I was not immediately busy. That all takes time. And what's nice is when you start tinting and you start taking on clients, you're kind of learning and growing your business, and it can be a very gradual thing. So you won't like, okay, I've got my tint business, let's go, and then you'd be waiting for the phone to ring. So I think what works best, especially when you're trying to open up your own place, is you can do mobile window tinting for other companies. You can go out to their shop. So that might be a tint shop, that might be an associated business like glass shops or stereo shops or anywhere that pulls in cars, really. You go out to them, and then they start booking you clients, and then you come in, you do the work. Generally, we would charge, in the beginning, we charged 60%, and then we raised prices to 75% of the ticket. And that went pretty well. There's some shops that do it really, really well, and there's some shops that just waste your time. So you give them 1 or 2 days a week. So for the busy shops, we would give them like Tuesdays and Fridays. They come in on Monday, they book up some cars for Tuesday, and then the rest of their week, they funnel that to Friday. And then I would literally show up on Tuesdays and Fridays. I would do whatever work that they had scheduled, within reason, right? You have them like, hey, plan on 2 hours for all sides in the rear, plan in an extra half hour, 45 minutes is getting a windshield, plan an hour for a set of door windows, and then when you do it like that, you can shuffle around some time and stuff, and you have a really, really good day. And then you pack up your stuff, you leave, and then you can do your own thing for the rest of the week. Or go to another shop, or work on your own shop. That way you're making an income, learning more, seeing how other people do stuff. Like, there's a lot of different ways that you can do it, but what was really surprising to me was just how much I learned when I was doing mobile, seeing what other companies were doing. And they were honestly, a lot of companies that we tinted for were really sad. There was a handful that were amazing, and they're still amazing shops to this day. They're not dedicated tint shops, but they are super cool. So when you get to talk to like the owners of some of these companies, it's just like, how did you get the shop? Where did you start from? Like, I love picking people's brains about business. I was in your first class, and I have my own shop. It's been awesome. Customers love the tint keg. They're always asking questions about it. Dude, see how fucking happy I am to hear that? That is so cool, man. I remember you. That's amazing, man. Congratulations. Did we tint your windshield? Did we tint your, like, tint over tint, and you had the sticker in the bottom, I think? Was that your truck that we ended up doing? Oh, that's so cool. Do you find that tinting slows down in the wintertime? Oh, yeah, for sure. It's seasonal, but the busier you get, the, like, you get slow in comparison, I think, to what you get. And that's not with everybody, but by and large as a whole, wintertime comes around, people aren't thinking as much about their cars. They're more staying inside because it's cold. And that even goes with hotter states. But when you get into places like Florida, you know, it stays warmer, but there's a lot more competition. When you go into north, things get colder, but there's a little less competition in comparison, but it slows down, I think, for everybody. But stay extra busy in the summertime. Take your vacations in the wintertime. Put some extra money away. And try and, like, when it slows down, try and take advantage of it. There's things that you can do that are not just tinting cars. People generally forget their social media. Like, I just discovered that videos pop up on my Google Maps listing. So now every car that I tint, I'm going to start posting a short 30-second walk around of every car that I do along with some pictures. When you start feeding those platforms, they start boosting you up. So everybody does the normal, like, Facebook and stuff like that. Don't forget your, like, Google Maps listing. That's huge. Any advice for mobile window tinting business? I mean, when you're doing, like, truly mobile, everything always comes at opportunity cost. So when you're running from house to house, there's only one car that you can do there, generally speaking, and then you have to pack up all your stuff and then go to the next house. And then you also have to make sure that they have a garage. And then when you're mobile, you don't have a physical location that people can find you on maps as easily. You can still do other ways of advertising. You can still be on maps, but, like, there's little things that come into play that definitely make mobile more difficult. One thing that I really liked, this comes with some other problems, but when you would go to when I go to shops and tint for them, that's not my name. That's their name. So they're bringing me lots of work, but that's under the company that I'm going to, so I'm just an installer there. So when I went out on my own, I didn't have a client base. I've been tinting for 15 years and haven't grown my own name until the past couple. So figure out what type of business that you want to go after. And I think at the end of the day, for a lot of people, it makes sense to eventually get into, like, some sort of a physical space nowadays. You don't need a expensive shop. You can get something that's a lot cheaper, but a shop really helps accommodate extra opportunities. This might be a personal question. How much do you pay for your shop? $3,400 a month now. My rent went up by $1,000, and I absolutely hate that. It wasn't completely wrong for doing it. I just have really bad timing. So I started my home garage thing in 2020, and then things shut down. And then on top of that, according to the city, neighbors called, and then I learned all about zoning. So they didn't want me to tint cars from home. So then I had to jump into a space. So I found this space. This was $2,400 a month. And even that was like, oh boy, because you're signing a lease. It's not like you can just decide to do it for a couple months and then it doesn't work out. You're committed to, like, 2 years of monthly payments on a building like this, or they could take you to court. I don't know if they would have, but they could. You sign a contract. That also reserves you having that space for $2,400 a month. So I signed the shortest lease that I could because I'm like, I'm going to play this safe. 2 years go by, market goes, and now it's starting to go, but my lease re-sign is way up here. So then he's like, yeah, so that space is going to go up by $1,000 a month. You can move out if you don't like it. I already put all this work into it. What do you think I'm going to do? I shopped around, and nothing else. There was nothing else that was available that was within this distance from home, wasn't in a similar state that would have needed a lot of work. And same thing. Like, if you listen right now, it is whisper quiet. Like, there's no noise coming from next door or anything. That is rare enough in and of itself, and it has a lot of space in here. So 3,300 square feet. What are the window tinting laws in Michigan? Nothing on the front doors or the windshield except the top 4 inches without a doctor's note. So everybody's got a doctor's note. What window tint film brand do you recommend for new shops? I mean, I love Geo. Whether or not you're a new shop, I think Geo is a great fit for a lot of people. They've been super supportive of small business, which is cool. I get super nervous at being judged for tinting from home. I don't live in the nicest neighborhood either. Yeah, I felt the same way. When I would do as little to bring up that it was at a home as I could, so people would see, like, the interior pictures. I had the same garage floor, made it look super nice and everything. So, like, when you open up the door, people look at it and go, whoa, this is cool. But, yeah, you're going up to a house. And I think that just stopped me from getting quite a few phone calls. As soon as I opened up a space like this, then people see it's a commercial space, and they're just like, oh, it's a tint business. So they just feel more comfortable going into a business, and I would feel the same way. That's not with everybody. There are quite a few tinters that run businesses from their home, and I loved it. I loved being able to go from the kitchen out into the garage, and that's my business. So far into the future, maybe I'll get an awesome house with like a big shop area kind of on the property, so it's like a little disconnected, but I don't have to go far at all. I think that would be my dream setup. Then imagine like a property with like a gate and everything, so it's like by appointment, and you're like going to this nice house, and then like the gate opens up, and it's like, ooh. I think that would be cool. But this is also very traditional for people going to a place. It's nice because I have room for people to drop off cars. I can accommodate people waiting. That was another thing. Nobody could wait at the house. It was all drop off only. And there's a fair amount of people that are like, I just don't have a ride. Yeah, could you imagine the place that I could get with paying this and the house payment, combine that into one super, yeah, way better. But timing, leases and this and that, and so maybe someday. But those things never work together for me yet. Can you film a quarter window like a Toyota Camry? The old, oh yeah, no, they have the same type of quarter windows. Yeah, I'll keep it in mind. I have like an old video on a Camry. I think that's how to tint a quarter window. Or maybe it was on a Honda Accord or something. You see the new bulldozer? What? Like the tool? Oh, I hated those old ones. Dude, I got so many Camrys. I hated those old Camrys. They had like sharp, pointy ones. I used to have to do those 2 or 3 times anyways. I'd round the corner a little extra. I'll be honest, I don't see those anymore, but I would take an easy reach. So that's the really slim silver card for one of those. Where's my tools? My tool belt. Who's selling it? What site is it on? These things. My tool belt was right here. So this guy right here, this is the Easy Reach. And it's very similar to the Tri-Edge. It's just a little slimmer. And I would definitely save this for like one of those. So I'd try and pull the seal back some, slide it in at the underneath, pick it back up, and then just slowly squeegee it out until it kind of tacked up, and then swipe this in the back corner. Round that back corner a little bit extra, because that's the part that would flip up the most. Just round it a little bit extra, and you'll be totally fine with it. Those things suck. What's a good price to be tinting windows if the job done is really good? Look, whether you're new or you're tinting for 20 years, if you can put out a good job, then it's worth good money. I don't care if you're brand new or not. Good work is good work. So like I start jobs here at $290. That's probably a little more expensive than some people, but I also stream a good number of them. So like I waste 3 hours on a car. For some people that'll take like an hour, So I price accordingly for stuff like that. So I don't get as much business that way either. But that's not what I'm after. Fusion, but it's not released yet. Oh, was that screenshot that I saw the other day? Somebody sent it to me? That's interesting. Dang. Fusion going after other business. Interesting. Okay. One thing I would really appreciate about that is it would make shipping easier if they consider this. So, I actually sell these now. This is the one, obviously, you can tell I've been using for a little bit. But the thing is, when you're trying to ship one of these, this is just a little bit too wide to fit in a tint box. And then this handle sticks out a little too far for a good number of packages, too. So I hate shipping these things, but If it fixes some of those, I'd be way happy, because I don't think it needs to be quite that wide, and I don't think it needs to be quite that long. But that's a that's a paddlin. I like that word. That's a paddlin. Do you steel wool thick Nissan defrosters because it can't stand the bubbles? Just you. On thicker defrosters, sanding or I don't like using steel wool. Steel wool would always leave little bits behind. This was earlier on, so when I did a glue removal, all we ever knew was like rapid remover and some other chemicals that didn't seem to work very well, and we'd sit there with steel wool, triple aught steel wool, and try and grind that stuff off. Then I retint it, and I have like another little piece of steel wool. But you could use, honestly, like my trick for doing defroster lines now, because I don't like using sandpaper on defroster lines, but some people do, is you turn on the defrosters like 30 seconds to a minute before you go to install it. So as you're cleaning off that back window, you turn on the defrosters, that window starts to get hot, and then it seems to take care of any of that. So Chargers, Challengers, Mustangs, 300s, like those are notorious cars with bigger defroster lines that I would do that on. Is there any way I can send you the pic real quick? IG or email or something. Can you post it in the Facebook group? Window tint stuff on Facebook, and then I can just bring it up here on stream. Would love to see it. Do they call it the paddlin? What do they call it? That's always interesting. It's smart, though. Bulldozer has not been reinvented in quite a while, so any new takes on it would be interesting. Dang. That's going to be in the world of window tinting. That's going to be an interesting one for sure. So we go to Facebook. I'll bring you guys over to the Facebook group. And look, I'm on the side now. Oh, it doesn't even work. Ah, shit. How do we do this? Huh. That's what happens when I change monitors and stuff. So if I do desktop, this is like my side monitor. So display capture, is that what it is? Yeah. Okay, let's change this. How do we? Properties, automatic. Oh, there we go. Display 2. Whoa, there it is. Oh, this is my new favorite thing. It all just picks up.
Graps super chatted $4.99. I'm in LA. I work from home
hang
and
on.
I switched over to GrowShield because of how amazing you talk about it. Thank you for
MG
all your
Raps
tips,
with a
Matty
5.
Ironman.
Thank you.
Call me
Vape Nation. Yep, that's Vape Nation. Thank you for the 5. I'm in LA. I work from home. I switched over to GeoShield because of how amazing you talk about it. Thank you for all the tips. Matt, you're the man. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That was super nice of you. Is that water? It's don't worry, it's safe. It's fog. Like fog machine fog. I think it's safe. It's pending. Ooh, okay, cool. Yeah, everything's on some type of approval that help filter out a bunch of spam. But what's cool is we pre-approve people once your first post is not a ship post. I mean that in a good way. So let me go to the window, and then we'll bring it up. I think I figured out this computer stuff. pending post. Come on, mods, get on. Oh, dang, there it is. Oh, that's like a faraway picture from it, too. They just put it on there and, like, wait for people to notice it? I couldn't make it. All right. So there's that. Hey, there's me. Let's refresh this. It should be up here. Oh, yeah, here it is. Why isn't it in a recent post? Thank you, Facebook, for most relevant. How about new posts? There we go. So that's it. That's weird, but cool. This almost looks like there's a hole here. So one way that I like to use the bulldozer. Here, let me. Oh, I gotta fix my window here. So one way that I like to use the bulldozer is I'll actually support it from the bottom. It's a little bit harder to do, but I'll press it up against the glass and go at a sideways angle for some sweep. So behind a brake light, like this is nice, but doing it at an angle seems to squeegee a little bit more water out and catch some extra little bubbles in case there's just like a little groove or something here and it just, get more blade going across it. It almost looks like there's a hole right about here where you could like grab it in an interesting way. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely down to try it out. They've made some misses. I mean, one of my favorite squeegees is like the Fusion Hybrid. That blade's awesome. I didn't quite get their edge tool though. Their edge tool to me is kind of goofy. But yeah, also on this group, quick note, as you can see, we got like 57,000 people, which is just insane. So if you have questions and want to post pictures and stuff like that, I'm going to move my head over here. This is a great community, and lots of people are asking questions, getting help. So I'll leave a link to that group in the chat. If you haven't been there, definitely check it out. And if you don't want to participate, no big deal. Use it as a way. Use it as a way to just kind of keep an eye out for cars with problems. So the C300s, I had no idea, and then next thing I know, everybody's talking about the C300.
Hans is super chatted $10. Great job on the Supra.
But Hans with the 10, thank you. Great job on the Supra. Think I'm starting to get the joke now. Do you guys see his license plate? It's Supra. It's cool. Alrighty, guys. Well, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for hanging out. We'll shout out some super chats quick, but if you have any last-minute questions, get them in. I've got another windshield and sunroof to do, so I'm just going to pull that and get that done. I actually have to work, too. Not everything can be fun, streamy stuff. All right, so big shout-outs to Hans, MG Raps, Daniel Reyna. Oh, it's like the good old days. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. This was a really fun one to do. So we'll have another stream here pretty soon. Thanks, dude. Later. Bye-bye.